First off, I just want to say, as a minor correction, we have talked about Oral Cancer Awareness Month, Jeff. We mentioned it last week in the dental news, but of course, that goes through the end of the month. And we're bringing attention to it tonight by bringing on Dr. Guter and the AGD, who has a foundation that is supporting oral cancer screenings and awareness. So, we're going to talk a lot more about that. So, excited to have that on the program. Secondly, as we mentioned last week, with the shift and change that happened with the COVID-19 emergency declaration, I guess is the right word, and that's going to be the end of funding for some of the Medicaid and CHIP programs. A lot of people are going to come off the roll of receiving government support for dental oral health needs. So if you are a provider for Medicaid or CHIP programs and you have patients in your population, really awesome opportunity to go ahead and start doing some social media campaigns, try to get the word out, reach your community to let them know, because I'm not 100% sure that they all understand that there's going to be a big change that happens on May 11th, where a lot of people are coming off of the government-funded roles and will not be receiving access to Medicaid and CHIP funding for traditional healthcare as well as oral healthcare. So if you can, boost up capacity and provide occupancy in your health practices as a provider of Medicaid and CHIP, it certainly seems like a great opportunity, both to maybe have some good production, meet the needs of your community, and see if you can't get some of those folks who are going to lose funding in just a few short days in to get a checkup, treat urgent needs that need to be resolved, and hopefully prepare them for this transition after May 11th. From a dental news perspective, mostly the things that I identified this week or kind of honed in on were more corporate related. We don't talk a ton about corporate things that are happening out around the world, but because usually the government is doing a lot of stuff and we need to be keeping our eye on things. But we're currently in a bit of a quiet stretch. A lot of emphasis is being put on healthcare workforce and access to care. And we're watching those bills and discussions happening in different committees and see what sort of materializes and comes forward as an actual bill for vote. But for right now, there's just a lot of emphasis and proposals coming forward in the different committees. In the meantime, a lot of activity happening in the corporate world. One of our previous guests, Dr. Edward Zuckerberg, took on a dental advisory position just this week with a company called Velmini. That is an AI dental technology company. Their focus is on AI application within the dental realm. And they brought Dr. Zuckerberg on for his expertise, both in technology as well as the oral biome, which he has made that a real passion project in his career post chairside treatment. And if you didn't catch that episode with him, that was on a few weeks ago. It's available on our podcast as well as on our YouTube channel. Fantastic episode with an individual who really is seeing a very unique second phase of his dental career and doing some really cool stuff for the advancement of oral health care. Excuse me. Second is, if you're familiar with the company Convergent is the company who's selling the Solea laser. They took a $50 million injection of capital this week to hopefully push the dental laser adoption of their CO2 laser. And lastly, which I thought was a bit interesting, and I'm trying to process if I think it's a good thing or a bad thing. So feel free to comment or advise, give me an opinion, because I'm sitting on the fence about how I feel. But the University of Pennsylvania added 2 new board members this week. One is a VP of international sales from Dentsply. His name is Jorg Vogel. And the second one is from Midmark, Dr. Thomas Schweinerman, which is the VP of Clinical Affairs and the Board of Medicine. Or Chief Medical Officer. So they brought both of those individuals into the Board of Advisories at UPenn Dental School. They'll serve a 3-year term. It's a volunteer position. I think it's interesting. I don't know how prevalent it is that dental schools have board members that represent corporations and corporate interests. It's certainly an interesting juxtaposition to have for-profit and non-for-profit sitting on the same board? And will that be to the advantage of the dental students or a disservice? And with that, that's the news.